The UP State Fairgrounds going to be back in action this weekend. A very special event is being held there. Ansley Watson is on the scene this morning letting us know about what's happening. Good morning, Ansley.
Good morning, Vicki. You might be thinking, well, the State Fair is already over, so what's happening there now? Well, let me tell you, it's a UP steam and gas engine show, and that's happening starting today through Monday. Basically, we're in the Agricultural Museum, and if you were to walk into, say, your great-grandfather's barn and see what was in that, that's probably what you'd see here. There's tractors and old plows, and there's even an old water pump in here. Some really neat things to come and check out here at the show this weekend. Also, there's other events like a gun and knife show. There's a flea market. There's an antique auto car show and just an antique show that you can go to. Stay with us. We'll talk more about the events that you can come and see at the show. You'll definitely not want to miss out. Reporting live in Escanaba, Ansley Watson, TV6 News.
Thank you very much. Ansley, sounds like a lot of fun. Indeed, if for folks going down there, it is like stepping back in time. They've got the old-fashioned shops down there that you can walk through. It's very cool.
Yeah, it looked like it was a neat one there. I'm surprised our technology worked there.
I know, it was a little touchy, you know, but you know, keeping up with the times the best you can. If you're a history buff, you definitely want to get down to the UP State Fairgrounds this weekend. This morning, Ansley Watson is telling us more about what's going on to pique your interest. Good morning, Ansley.
You know, Vicki, a very special event is happening here this weekend. It's a UP Steam and Gas Engine Show, and there's a lot of neat old stuff to see here. I'm joined this morning with the curator of the museum that we're standing in, Bob Willis. Bob Willis, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Bob, I think I'm a little overdressed. I should have brought my overalls this morning. What do you think?
Oh, no, you're just fine.
Oh, thank you. Bob, okay, so there is tons of neat old things in here, even dating back to the 1800s. Why should people come to this show and see this stuff?
They should come and see it so they understand what life was really back then. What it was really like back then. You can see it on television and the made-up things, but to come and see the equipment and everything that just like it was, it's a real experience, a learning experience.
You know, we're standing in front of this really old tractor right now. Tell me a little bit about it.
This is an International Harvester 816 tractor. It was the first tractor that International Harvester built on an assembly line. They started to build it as the answer to the Henry Ford's Fordson tractor, but it didn't sell nearly as well as the Fordson. This tractor, the engine was the same engine that the International Harvester had been using in a truck. They put it in a frame, put the wheels and transmission with it. Strange things happened with this tractor. If you notice, the radiator is behind the engine, between the engine and the driver. That must have been quite warm in the summertime. Another strange thing about it is that when you're sitting on the seat, you can't see over the top of the radiator. So you have to lean over to one side, lest you run into something.
That must have been a little bit hard to harvest your fields then. All right, so this show started back in the 70s. This is the 40th anniversary this year of this show.
40th anniversary celebration, yes it is.
What has made this show so successful?
I believe that we can credit the support of the community. Most all of the things that you see here have come from the Upper Peninsula. Most of them have been donated to the UP Steam and Gas Engine Association. It was because so many of the wonderful people here donated things that we built this building. If we didn't have any equipment, you don't need the building. But once you have this equipment, some of which does date back into the middle 1800s. Our sawmill is, the patent date is 1869. When you have all of these valuable things, and I think they are valuable, you have to keep them where they're being protected from the weather, especially since many of them have a lot of wooden parts.
All right, thank you, Bob. Stay with us, and we'll continue our talk about the show and all the other events that you'll see here. Reporting live in Escanaba, Ansley Watson, TV6 News.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Ansley. And they do have a really lot of neat things there. So
Yeah, look cool.
yeah, maybe take a break from the heat and walk into those historic
Welcome back.
shows.
Well, you now have the chance to take a step back in time and see how far we've come when it comes to various machines and engines. TV6's Ansley Watson joins us this morning to talk to us about exactly what you can see at the UP State Fairgrounds. How's it going, Ansley?
Sam, we are at the UP State Fairgrounds, and we are joined by Bob Willis this morning, and he is one of the founding fathers of who started this whole entire thing. Earlier, we were talking about old steam engines, and we're looking at a cream separator and old sleds here. There's so many neat old things that people can come see here. But not only that, there's other events that people can come enjoy as well. Bob, thank you again for being with me this morning.
It's my pleasure.
So you were talking earlier that there is an antique show, there's an auto antique car show.
Yes, this is the first year that we have invited antique cars to come down. When we're talking about antique cars, these are cars built 1935 and earlier, and these are not street rods. They are cars more or less just as they were built by the manufacturer. I was driving around the fairgrounds today, or yesterday now, and I saw a really, really neat, nicely restored Model T Roadster. Another gentleman has a Rio car, about 1930, along with a Chevrolet of about the same vintage. They are beautiful cars from back then.
You know, earlier we were cruising around in this Model T Ford that's behind us. We were having a great old time, weren't we? We didn't get very far because there's a flat tire. But what can you tell me about this car?
This Model T Ford was built 1923 to 25 in that era. Henry Ford is supposed to have said of the Model T, it isn't a real good car. On the other hand, it isn't a bad car, but it's a usable car. Henry Ford put America, in fact, in the world, on wheels with the Model T. Cars have been available since the early 1900s, but when Ford built his car, he built a car that the working man could afford, and he built over 15 million Model T Fords.
Wow. Yeah, and then one more thing. I know there's a flea market happening here. What's that all about?
Well, they're not selling any fleas. But they do have all kinds of things. I was driving around, I saw glassware, I saw old farm equipment, I saw old garden tractors. There's just anything that you could imagine there. If you're looking for it, you could probably find it at the flea market here at the UP Steam and Gas Engine.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for joining with me this morning at the UP Steam and Gas Engine Show. There's a lot of neat, interesting things you definitely don't want to miss out. Reporting live in Escanaba, Ansley Watson, and we'll be back with more of your TV6 morning news after the break.